All right, everyone. So the recording has started. So welcome to the first Wooten PTSA meeting of the school year. So we're so thrilled to have everybody here tonight. We're doing a hybrid meeting. So we tried this a couple years ago. So we're thrilled to be using our technology to make this work. So for those on Zoom, we have some folks in the room tonight. And then I know we have quite a few people in the Zoom room. So wanted to welcome everyone. I'm Brian Rabin. I'm the Wooten PTSA president. And a little bit about me. This is my fourth year as Wooten PTSA president. I'm in my second year of my second term. The bylaws do require me to step down after this year. So if anyone has any interest, please step up. I have two kids in the Wooten cluster. I have a daughter who's a junior here at Wooten, and I have an eighth grader at Cabin John, and look forward to her coming here next year. In my day job, I'm an executive officer for the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. I would first like to say thank you to all of the board members that have been contributing to Wooten PTSA for so long. We've had meetings over the summer to prepare for the school year. And so I just want to thank them. You won't be able to see those that are in the room. Especially want to thank Nikki for all of her hard work. I know all of you know Nikki from many emails and membership and many other things. So thank you for that. And I'm sure we have some board members on Zoom as well. I'm not able to see who is on, but thank you all. So for tonight's meeting, for our agenda, we're gonna talk about the upcoming meetings. We're gonna talk about the events that are coming up. We have some exciting events. We have a college fair, the Cluster Fall Festival. We do have some voting tonight, so we did decide to do an in-person meeting so we could welcome in the school year. We could take care of our voting, and then we're gonna move on to Nikki's reports, and then finally we'll have a presentation by Mr. Doug Nelson and Ariel Markiewicz. So stay tuned for that. Just a little, so Wooten PTSA depends on all of our volunteers. So everyone who participates on our board, of course, are volunteering to support the Wooten community. I know everybody's time is really limited. Every year we're looking for volunteers. We really need the support. We do have some activities during the year that are one-time events. So if you're really busy, that might be something that you're able to take on, and we would greatly appreciate that. If you have a little bit more time in your schedule, it would be great for some of our open positions. So I am so thrilled that we did get volunteers to run for our executive board position. So that vote's going to come later. But we do have some other open positions as well. So for remaining positions, and we filled quite a few, so I'm really pleased about that. We really do need a fundraising chair, and we need fundraising committee members. We really do want to make a big push for this school year to raise the money that we need to get the tile floor for the gym. And that's we just had homecoming this past Saturday. It was a great success. I think there were about 700 students that were here participating in the dance. PTSA volunteers were here supporting it. It was excellent. But for those that were here, you could see the tarp that had to be put down on the floor. It's a big old tarp that is taped down and not the best surface to dance on. So we do want to purchase these interlocking tiles that are great to dance on, easy to put down, easy to store. Very expensive, but they'll last a very long time. They run about $20,000 for our floor space because the gym's pretty large. We have about a quarter of that. So we want to raise money this year. So anybody who enjoys fundraising, and I got to say that there's a lot of help. So just because we call you a chair of a committee doesn't mean there's not a huge amount of help, because we all pitch in for everything. So we do need a chair for that committee. If you don't want to lead the committee, and we could use two chairs because we could do co-chairs. But if you don't want to lead the committee, we could use committee members. We already have some people that are going to do fundraising. Restaurant nights, which are fantastic. But we want to be able to do some. Those are great, and we can raise some money. But we want to do some bigger activities as well, so we can bring in that money a little bit quicker. There's a lot of needs for the school. So once we address the need for the tiles, we're going to move on to some other needs that the school has. And there's a very long list Mr. Nelson would tell you about. In addition to fundraising, we really need a volunteer coordinator. We do have a number of events during the year. Like I mentioned earlier, we need our volunteers. So this is a great opportunity to help us just coordinate the volunteers. We have a Sign Up Genius resource that we use, and it's really just managing the volunteers. It might be, they sign up, and then it would be coming and helping us with the event and making sure the volunteers are coming and assigning them to duties. So it's really one of those volunteer jobs that's not as time consuming. We also need post-prom co-chairs. So we're thrilled. Last year we had an in-person prom. There were 2 years before that we did not. So we were looking forward to an in-person prom again in May. And we do need to plan the post-prom event. And what that is an event to keep our kids safe after prom, so they're not out drinking. They can have fun at a nice event that we planned for them. Last year was a bowling event at Bowl America, 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. We had a lot of great volunteers, but we have to raise some money. We have to get prizes. There's a lot of different activities for that. So we need post-prom committee members and the co-chairs. And then we need 2 other positions, MCC PTAs, the Montgomery County Council PTAs. We need a delegate. We have 2 delegates that we can have. We have 1 position filled. There's a delegates assembly every month. It is on Zoom, so it's very easy to attend the delegates assembly. It used to be in person, so that makes it very convenient. If you're interested in that, that would be a really good opportunity. You learn about county-wide issues and you bring them back to PTSA. So we're aware of those issues. And then you do have a vote as well. So I have 1 vote, our 2 delegates have a vote. And so our cluster gets 3 votes. Our Wooten High School gets 3 votes. Each of our schools in our cluster get 3 votes. So very important that we have the delegate. And then the last thing we have is Wooten Cluster Rep. So we have we're part of the cluster that has 9 schools in our cluster. Wooten is the high school of the cluster. So that's why it's called the Wooten Cluster, but we have 2 middle schools and 6 elementary schools. And so all that make up our cluster. And so we have during the year, probably about 4 cluster meetings, and that brings together the principals and the PTSAs, the presidents or other members of the PTSAs for joint meetings so that we can work on cluster-wide issues. And so the Wooten Cluster Rep would sit in that meeting along with me and with Mr. Nelson or whoever he designates. So those are the positions. I'm happy to provide any information about any of those positions. So if you are interested, just reach out to me. And you can find me on the WootenPTSA.org website. And that's where you can find information about PTSA generally. Okay, we're going to move on to the next slide, which is, I think is our meeting slide. So our PTSA meetings are on the 3rd Tuesday every month. I think we usually skip 1 month, either January or February. It tends to be February, but if we get a snow day in January, then February we'll hold the meeting. So we'll let you know about that, but it's at 7 p.m. All the meetings except for this first one and the last one are going to be on Zoom. So we wanted to have the first one as a hybrid meeting so we could have folks come in person. And then we're going to do the one at the end of the year where we also have voting to do. We have elections in May, and we also have to vote on the budget, make sure that we have funding over the summer. And so that those 2 meetings will be in person. It will be hybrid. So we'll do in person and Zoom, and then all the meetings in between will be on Zoom. So, and you'll get that link to be able to join those meetings. Just for the format of every PTSA meeting, what we do is we take care of the Wooten PTSA business first, like I'm doing tonight. And then after we handle PTSA business, then we'll move on to a guest speaker. And we have a guest speaker for every meeting. So tonight we're very pleased to have Mr. Nelson and Ms. Markiewicz, but we have a theme every month. And so this theme this month is back to school. So good theme for September. For next month, we're going to have a mental health forum, which we're very excited about. We've done it in previous years. It's really great. We bring in experts to be on a panel, and again, it'll be on Zoom. In November, we're looking to have some sort of college topic. And then in December, every December, we have our alumni panel, and that's where we bring back alumni from Wooten to talk about their first semester and to let our current students know how they made their decision, how things are going the first semester. So that one is for both students and parents. We don't tend to get a lot of students at our PTSA meetings. We did add 2 student engagement co-chairs. They are, I believe they're juniors at Wooten this year, and they are working with us to engage with students more. So we're excited about that. So that's the fall into December. And then we love ideas. So if you have ideas for a theme or guest speakers, please let us know. We want to make sure that we bring in appealing speakers, important speakers, speakers that talk to the issues that the parents are interested in and our families are interested in. So let us know that, because we want to, this is for you. We do just make a quick plug for membership. Nikki's going to talk about membership soon, but if you haven't purchased your membership, please do so. That is what gives us our funding for the year to do all the great things that you're going to hear about. So events coming up. So next week, we are thrilled to have the 3rd annual Wooten College Fair. We sponsor this with Wooten. There's right now 66 colleges that will be participating. We have some food trucks that'll be there. We have vendors that are going to be there to talk about some of the services that they have available. And it's a great event. Last year, we held it outside because we couldn't have an event in the building. It was fantastic. Everyone loved it. The weather was perfect. It was right in the front driveway. The colleges loved doing the tailgate. They called it the tailgate, and it was fantastic. So this year, because we have so many, we've moved it to the lower lot. It's going to be excellent. So please encourage your students to come, and please come. Spread the word. What an opportunity to meet with reps in person right on our school campus. The students get to do that during lunch. They have reps that come in all through the year, but this is a chance for parents and students to come together to talk to reps and really get a lot of great information. And last year was packed, so we hope that it's packed again, because we do this to make sure that all of our students get the information they need about college as they prepare. And it's good for seniors, juniors, and seniors. We do. So the list is posted up on the Wooten PTSA website. We just got it, I think, yesterday. So we do have that full list. And it was in the newsletter too. So yeah, absolutely. Take a look at that list, and probably best thing to do is map out all the colleges that you want to talk to, because it's going to get busy at some of the booths, especially like Maryland College Park. That booth gets very, very long line. So make your list. Okay, and then the next event is Wooten Cluster Fall Festival. So this is a very exciting event. We started it last year. It was our first one, and we wanted to be able to bring the community together. We wanted to bring, I mentioned the 9 cluster schools. We wanted to bring all of our cluster schools together. This is for the Wooten community. Not that we say nobody else can come, but it's for the Wooten community. As you can see here, we have games. We have raffles, we have vendors, we have food trucks, we have a DJ. We're having performances by all the different Wooten performing arts groups. We've offered an opportunity for performances to our cluster schools. We have our cluster schools are participating and spreading the word. I think it's going to be a fantastic event. We're just hoping for good weather that day. It will be outside in the lower lot as well. And we hope that everybody does come and participate in that event. So it's a long time. It's 12 to 5 p.m. So we hope that you make that part of your day, and we'd love to have you come and visit us. And then for our next, so next up is our voting. So we're going to vote for 3 positions that we have open, and we're so thrilled to get these positions filled. So we have 3 candidates. So the first one is Lala, and is Lala on Zoom? Okay. So this is going to be for the first vice president position. You can see we have 2 vice presidents. So this is for the first vice president position. And before we hold the vote, I do want to see if there's anyone who wants to run from the floor, and that would be the Zoom floor or the floor here at Wooten. Okay, hearing none. Can I get a motion? First. Thank you. Do we have a second? Thank you. Oh, you know what? I skipped a little piece that I should. Sorry, the first time we've done voting in a while. Let me give Lale a chance to introduce herself and give us a little bit of her background. Would we be able to hear her?
I'm here. Yes. Hi. Good evening. Can you hear me? I can. Are you able to hear me?
I didn't really plan for this to be interactive. That's like taking it another step that I have not.
That is another.
Sure. She can write in the chat.
Okay.
Maybe she can write in the chat.
Okay.
Well, can you put just a little bit about yourself in the chat? Thank you. Sorry, we forgot about this interactive piece. We're just learning this technology. We purchased it before COVID, and then we didn't have a chance to use it except one time in the parking lot. So we're still getting used to the technology, and it's been 2 years. Yes. Yeah, we'll circle back. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna read it for those that are in person here. I have a daughter in 9th grade. I work for Montgomery County government and finance for 15 years. I've done a great deal over the years with schools, but this is my first time running for PTSA. So now we had already gotten a second, so I'm going to go ahead and all in favor, please say aye. And if you're on Zoom, please please raise your hand on Zoom. Raise your Zoom hand. Okay. And anyone opposed, say no. All right, and then I don't know if there's a thumbs down on Zoom or something, but okay. All right, great. Well, so that motion passes. So welcome to the executive board, Lala, and we're so pleased to have you. So congratulations. All right, the next position is our second vice president position, and running, we have Dongmei Liu. And also, Dongmei, would you mind just putting a couple sentences in the chat as well? Oh. Well, then you don't have to put it into the chat. Okay, yeah. So why don't I please have you come up here so they can hear you? Sorry about that.
No, it's all right. Hello, everyone. My name is Dongmei Liu, and I have a kid, and right now he's in the 10th grade. And for myself, I'm a scientist. I'm working in the government. That's for almost maybe 13 years. But previously, I work in the pharmaceutical industry. So I'm really glad I could have this opportunity and to make contribution to PTSA. This will be my first year in the PTSA. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so can I get a motion for Dongmei for the second vice president position? Okay, and all in favor, say aye. And hands up on Zoom. Or yes in the chat, either one. All opposed, say no. All right, the motion carries. So Dong Mei, congratulations and welcome to the executive board. Thank you so much for volunteering. And then for our final position is our corresponding secretary position, and that's going to be Jessica running for that position. Jessica's going to come up and say a few words.
Hello, good evening. I have a junior, a boy, and he is my only child. And as a professional, I work as an IT project manager for the National Archives. And prior to that, I worked in the private sector as an IT project manager. Yes, like many others, this is my first time on the PTA at any level. So I'm looking forward to supporting the PTA and Wooten.
Thank you so much, Jessica. All right, and just a corresponding secretary. So we have two secretaries. We have the recording secretary, Mira, who is sitting here. So that position records the meetings as they occur, and then we get the minutes. And then the corresponding secretary coordinates all of our communications. So it's all the different, we have a web resource for our website, and we have social media, and then our newsletter. And so it's coordinating all of that along with Wooten to make sure that we're communicating consistently and effectively to get the information out to everybody. So there's awareness through the community of all the great things that we're doing. And we want, do the same thing with Wooten's. We're coordinating, make sure we get messages out for the school, and they're getting our messages out as well. So can I get a motion for Jessica for the corresponding secretary position? In a second, I guess. Thank you. All in favor of Jessica for the corresponding secretary's position, please say aye. And all opposed, and in Zoom, hands up, or say yes in the chat. And all opposed, say no. Okay, the motion carries. So Jessica, welcome to the executive board. Congratulations. Thank you all so much for volunteering. We so greatly appreciate it. And we so greatly need your help. So it's been really hard the past couple of years. So thank you. All right, and now we will move on to the next position, the next slide. Yeah.
Okay, I will make this as quick as possible. So this is just a quick update on our membership. This is as of this morning. Did have a few more people join today. But as you can see, our parent numbers are still pretty far down for this year compared to last year. So we still need people to sign up. I know there'll be sign up available at the college fair, at the fall festival. You can always sign up online. So and you can always email me if you're having trouble figuring out how to do it. Worst case scenario, you can email me and I can send you an invoice. I can make it as easy as possible. So if you're having problems, don't hesitate to reach out to me. So now we're going to talk about the proposed budget for this year. We're going to take a vote. So I put up here the budgeted numbers for this year compared to last year's actual numbers. You can see I kind of kept everything pretty much the same. We don't expect a lot of changes. Probably the biggest change is the operational expenses because we invested in some promotional materials. We did the magnets and whatnot last year. So it was a little bit more last year. And you can see here too, for our floor fundraiser, that's based on what we have set aside. That's what we've already earned for the floor fundraiser. So we always keep that in our budget to make sure those monies aren't touched and used for anything else. And then overall for the budget, based on last year, we're hoping to, receipts at least the same. Obviously, we would like for them to be up, and hopefully if we can get a fundraiser chair or committee set up this year, we can really improve those numbers. Expenses are pretty much the same as well. Ending balance going down. When I started doing treasurer, this is, I think, my 5th year now as treasurer, we had a pretty big surplus. So we've been kind of eating away at that every year because we really shouldn't have a large surplus. So that's the budget. Does anyone have any questions about the budget? No? Okay. So we need to take a vote on the budget. If I could get someone to start that. And a second. Everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Everyone on the Zoom can say aye as well in the chat or raise their hand. Okay, everyone opposed? Anyone? No? Okay. So I guess that passes, right? That's all I need to do. Sorry. Never remember these rules. Okay. So next I wanted to just quickly touch on community outreach and holiday helping hands. So Jen's here in the audience tonight. She's our community outreach liaison. That program runs all year. Even in the summer, if something were to come up, we're always checking our emails and are able to help. In the newsletter each week, you'll see there's a little section about community outreach, and there's a message in there that tells you what we do, how it works, and to email Jen if you want to be on a list. So the way it works is if a counselor or PPW within the Wooten cluster finds a child that's in need, maybe they need a new pair of shoes, maybe the family needs grocery money, they'll reach out to Jen, and then she will email everyone who's on that particular list who has said, I would like to help if there is something that's come up. And then if you feel comfortable helping with that particular thing, you can just email her back. And so that's really how that works. It's pretty simple. So we started that a few years ago, and then during the pandemic, kind of as an offshoot, we started the Holiday Helping Hands program, which is very similar, except that it's around the holidays. If the PPW or a counselor, they know of a family in need, they send that family a form that we have, which asks for like, what size clothes do these kids wear? What are they interested in? And then what we do is we create registries. So the last year we started, we were using Target and Amazon. And then we'll have a page on the website. And then if you want to help a child in need, you can go to the registry, you can purchase an item off of it. It will get shipped directly to us. Or you can go purchase it and drop it off at Jen's house. Alternatively, if you would prefer to buy a grocery store gift card, we take donations of those. You can also send us a gift card and we will do shopping. We will also we'll put up information about if you want to send us Venmo or Zelle or PayPal, whatever you want to send us money, we will do the shopping for you. So there's lots of options, and just look out for that in the next couple months, because as I'm sure you all know by going out to the store, Christmas is apparently already here. So it'll be here before we know it. But we have to kind of get started early because it is a long process of getting all the registries made, getting everything purchased, getting it all shipped to us. And then we do a day where we have students come for SSL hours. They wrap all the gifts and then we arrange delivery. So there's a lot of logistics involved and a lot of steps. So it's not something we can do the week before Christmas. So we will be communicating information about that as we get closer. And then the last thing I wanted to say is just to remind everyone we have our first Principals Coffee Chat this Friday. It's at 9 a.m. It will also be recorded. It'll be posted to our YouTube page, just like this meeting. And I am sending out an email first thing tomorrow morning for questions. So if you have a question that you want answered because you can't make it or you want to remain anonymous, you can just reply to that email, send it to me, and I will pass it on to the principal and he will answer it during the coffee chat. And you can always watch it later if you can't make that at 9 a.m. So we're going to take just like a 1-2 minute break and we're going to switch now off unless you have anything else to say,
Just
Brian.
mention,
Okay, so Brian's going to say one more thing
leave you squad locker
and then we'll swap off.
if you just, okay.
Sorry.
I'll switch with you.
Okay.
So as we're at the beginning of the school year, I know that everybody may be looking for some Wooten gear, or your kids are, or parents are. So we have a school store on the Wooten PTSA website. It's called Squad Locker. And we have a wide selection of logos. We've uploaded many logos over the last few years. And there's lots of different apparel. So you can pick your logo, pick your apparel, put it on, anything from I think a water bottle to, sweatshirts, sweatpants. So please go in there and find your item and you get 10% off by going to our website, and you can see the coupon on there and be able to go on and get your items, and it'll be shipped directly to you. So, and it does support PTSA as well. So we're going to switch over to the presentation now. And give us just a moment as we switch presentations, and then we'll get started again.
Well, good evening, everyone. Certainly wonderful to be with you here in our first PTSA meeting for this year. Just want to say a little virtual hello to everyone that's out there on Zoom, but it's really lovely to be here in person with all of you in the media center. You know, it's been such a lovely start to the school year. And when you're having meetings like this again in person and you get to meet everyone, hear a little story about homecoming, a little story about starting in your freshman year, it is very invigorating for me and I really love it. And so I'm so glad to be here with all of you tonight. What I want to say in sharing that sentiment is please don't let this be your last night. Come back and be with us oftentimes here at the school. Even if your teenagers at home might roll their eyes when you say you're going back to be with us and help at an event or volunteer for one of the many initiatives that we have here at school, please come and still be a part of our community. It is really important. And although it's sometimes kind of hard to see the effect of everything that we do here in the building, it makes a big difference for our students and for your kids. That really just kind of like weaves its way, your presence weaves its way into who we are as a school, and we want you to be here with us. So please make sure you're back volunteering and being a part of all that we have planned this year. So if I'm meeting you for the first time, my name is Douglas Nelson. I am extremely excited to be the new principal here at Wooten. The welcome at Wooten is warm, and I have thoroughly enjoyed getting to know the students and staff, parents and community members over these last couple of weeks. Before I get into the presentation, we had a really quick start to this school year. And when I say quick start, we had a lot of events that happened right at the start of the school year. That does not always happen. And so we had a start of school and then suddenly it's back to school night. And then the very next moment it's homecoming. And then we're having a homecoming dance. We had a lot of really wonderful events. And what I think that certainly did for all of your students is that when we were saying that we are back and school is really returning some of those things that we remember were there before the pandemic, I think they believe us because they've really kind of seen the school come back in a big way. So I really hope that that wind that is in our sails, so to speak, stays with us because we want the kids involved. Activities have now started. So please make sure you're staying in touch with us, seeing all the things that happen like College Fair and Fall Festival, and please encourage everyone to come out and be with us. Our purpose tonight really is to share some introductory information, just general knowledge content that we want you all to be aware of and know is happening here at Wooten. I'll be talking to some of these slides initially, and then I'll be turning it over to Ms. Markiewicz, and she's going to talk about some things from the counseling and student support side of this presentation. We really hope that we are going to get some of that information out to you that you want to know at the start of the school year. And so that is really what this presentation is intended to do. So we have an amazing group of administrators here at Wooten. We are a new team, and I would just like to spend some time introducing you all to this amazing group. Many of them wanted to be here, but we actually have some sick administrators. We were doing really, really well, and all of a sudden we've had some individuals start to get some illnesses here. So my apologies that we can't all be here in person. We are in spirit, right? So I'll introduce Ms. Rogers. She is down at the game at the field right now as the administrator supporting down there. Ms. Rogers comes to us from Churchill High School. She is the 9th grade administrator. Ms. Walker returns to us this year. She's the 10th grade administrator. Ms. Markiewicz, she'll be joining us for the latter part of presentation, support system counseling services. And so that's my partner in tonight's presentation for sure. Mr. Roner, he is the 11th grade administrator returning this year for students in the junior class. And then Ms. Laby, she is 12th grade administrator and a new assistant principal here, but not new to the Wooten staff. She was the resource teacher for arts, PE, and electives here last year. So that is our administrative team. We're really lucky to have such a great group overseeing the classes and events and everything that goes into this school year. Just a reminder of our mission statement. This is really what kind of grounds everything that happens here at Wooten. And the reason that I'd like to start with the mission statement specifically is next we're going to talk about our instructional focus, which is so important for us this year. But it really starts here with what is our mission and what really guides us here at the school. And our mission here is that we foster an inclusive community We want to create compassionate lifelong learners here in which students, they are in a school in which they're welcomed and belong, and they interact well with one another, in which they contribute conscientiously to this changing world. So we're really preparing them to go out there into whatever path they want to take as they move into adulthood. So that's really what we're all about here at Wooten. Each year, schools have to select an instructional focus. And when we select that instructional focus, the instructional leadership team at every school does that. So across the entire school system, all 210 schools, everyone takes a look at data to determine what is something we really want to work on this year. And I believe that Wooten has selected an instructional focus that's going to do really two things for us. It is really going to grow our staff and the professional development and how we teach individuals about this concept called no secret classroom. But we have definitely heard from our students about how they want to be brought back into their school. They want to be a part of this. And no secrets classroom is a concept that's really nested in building trust and bringing our students into the classroom experience with their teachers. So I'm very excited about this instructional focus. What I want to tell you about this no secrets classroom is the idea here is that oftentimes our teachers are delivering the content to students. They are selecting what is read. They are preparing slides, they are preparing rubrics and projects and determining what test questions are asked of students. It comes from the teacher to the students. But students absolutely can be much more a part of this relationship in the classroom. And so No Secrets Classroom is going to work with that. How do we include more student voice? How do we talk to them about adjusting deadlines and hear them when they explain what is happening in all of their classes, even though you might be in math class right now? And so we are working on strategies and approaches to really help bring that about. One of the first things we did this year was we collaboratively created norms about how we're going to interact in classrooms with each other, and we included that student voice in that conversation. I'd like to share an example of how that happened in Ms. Parker's class. So the way she did this in her room, she gave students a set of cards and one instruction. And she told students in groups they had to create their own game that they were then going to play using these 15 cards with no other instruction than that. So there were debates, there were discussions, not easy agreements, students trying to figure out how they were going to engage in this game. And then once that was done, she said, now you know what it's like to interact with one another. Let's figure out how we're going to do that in this classroom this year. And they wrote these norms together about how they'll speak to one another, how they're going to complete work. If it doesn't work, how are we going to communicate about that? And they created these norms. And so that is really what's at the heart of No Secrets Classroom. And so that is what we will be working on this year at Wooten High School. I'm so excited to be doing this work because I think it will really help our kids feel valued. Here's an example of some of those agreements. This is what was created in the American Sign Language course that we offer here. That's taught by Ms. Leah Clark. So she wrote hers up, put it in a Canva image that she then shared with all of her students so they could see what students are expected to do, how teachers are expected to approach class, and what's going to occur in the classroom environment together. So it's really exciting to see these things being produced. A little note about some of the kind of policies and some changes that are in place. I can imagine that when the email hit about the PMD policy to the Wooten community, there were probably some questions, some discussion that occurred. I certainly know when I talked with the students, they were very aware that this policy was shared with the community. Just a little note about this. What we see in this image is a purpose, some bullet points about how we're going to do all of this work around PMD. What I want you all to know, what this is really about is making sure that we have a way to intervene when it comes to student attention in the classroom. There are a couple of ways, unfortunately, that students can kind of pull themselves away from the learning that teachers have planned in the room. One is to not come to school at all. You just don't arrive. You can't learn if you're not here. Another way to do that is that when learning gets started, you pull out your cell phone and you go on Instagram. It is very hard to read a text, analyze it, come up with an argument while you are on TikTok watching your favorite dancer. So we really want to have a way to intervene when it comes to that. There, of course, is a lot of policy. There is, of course, a lot of work that happened over the summer with the instructional leadership team. In simplest terms, we want to intervene if it helps our students pay attention more in the classroom. And that is what we are attempting to do. So what we're asking all of our students is to begin the start of class with all PMDs or technology that can distract you out of sight. That is how we begin. The bell sounds, and if you have a cell phone out, it goes in your backpack. If you are on your smartwatch, just turn it over and get off your watch at that time. Whatever it is, it should be out of sight and put away so that we can start class. When you go into rooms here at Wooten, and we've been through a number of them, I do not see PMDs out as I did in many other rooms that I saw before. Not here, but at other schools. They were definitely present. It seems that this has made a palpable shift for students. I don't know if they love it, but I do think that it has them more focused and eyes and ears open to instruction and their teachers. And I believe that is a good thing. We also have some hallway pass structures being put into place here this year. The idea is similar behind hallway passes in that we need to ensure that students have a valid reason to be in the hallway and out of class. And oftentimes there are very valid reasons when students need to exit a room. So we need to know you have that valid reason, that an adult knows that you are going to another location. And if you don't, the hallway pass system allows us to intervene. When students are clearly using this system, it's very easy if you're like myself or Ms. Markiewicz walking through a hallway, going to a room to deliver a message, to check on some task that you have to complete. It's very easy to see that a student isn't carrying a pass, or you can very easily see that they are. And if you're not, we should talk about that. It's a very easy conversation, actually. But this is a real way to determine whether students have a legitimate reason to be where they are in the building. A couple of things to know about it. In classrooms, if students just need to get a drink of water, they need to go to the bathroom, they grab one of the lanyard passes that hang in the room. We need you to return it. It's a quick trip in and out. It doesn't have to be anything more than a thumbs up from your teacher. You go, you return. If you need to go anywhere else in the school, we use the MCPS General Use Pass. That has been around forever. I'm 21 years in MCPS. That pass looks exactly the same on the first day that I started here. So everyone knows that general use pass. That's what you use for everything else. And this just ensures that our students, that an adult knows where you're going and that we're checking that you're back into class as soon as we can get you back. So before we get into lunch, about kind of the policies or structures or anything that we've covered so far, any questions that happen to be in the audience, and then I'll eventually move to Zoom a little bit later for some Zoom questions. But anything right here, right now for those in person. Jessica. Like a flash pass.
No, like for going to see their math teacher at advisory any day, not necessarily every day. What is the plan for supporting students who are used to having that?
It remains this. So if you have a standing meeting, let's say Tuesday advisory, you go to Algebra 2, right? You would just check in for that pass with that teacher on a standing basis, right? So you just grab it on that day that you know it's yours. Once that is shown to the advisory teacher, that alerts that, you know, you're good to go. And you see a lot of students then just moving to wherever they need to go for advisory. You're welcome. Awesome. Okay, so just some reminders and just some general information to share with you. Some notes about lunch, because these items about how kind of lunch functions, they can creep up periodically throughout the entire year, right? But we want you to know some of the expectations right up front in case your students say, maybe try to nudge some of these a little bit or convince you that these might be different. This is what is in place at Wooten for this year. So we do have an open lunch. What this means at Wooten is you may go anywhere in the building, you may go anywhere on our campus that is comfortable for you, and you may have your lunch, right? Open campus means on campus. That's what we want you to know, right? We'll take care of where the kids want to go and find their comfortable place to eat. They'll find it here. They may be there, but they must stay on campus. So that means the campus is closed, the school is open. Students should not order and receive DoorDash or delivery to the school. It brings strangers on campus. It is hard to control. And the truth of the matter is, the drivers, if they do this, are not verifying that it is your child. Any student could walk up to a DoorDash driver and say, yeah, I ordered Chipotle today. That driver is going to hand that to the student because they've now completed the sale. The issues that creep up when it comes to this are so quick that it's better to control. So no DoorDash delivery. We will speak to students if we see that happening, right? So please know we will address that. If you do need to bring in a lunch or drop food for your child for the lunch period, there is a drop table. It sits right behind the second desk near where this large black box stands, which is the system for doing all call announcements. It's in the back corner of the main office. Our staff will help you find that if you need it, but please know you can drop off a lunch if you need it during the day. And then please know, if any student needs a lunch for any reason this year, MCPS has announced students get full lunch no matter what. There will be a charge, there will be a follow-up to try to recoup the money that was, paid for that lunch, but there is no alternate lunch. All students get full lunch no matter what this year. So please, if students are ever saying, I need a lunch, what am I going to do? Just walk down to the cafeteria and you will be fine. Just a note about emergency preparations, as this certainly was a focus of some coverage for the school system. When it came to emergency preparedness going into this school year, there were plenty of trainings and a lot done for the staff. What I want you all to know is our emergency preparation is well underway and very much in place to be consistent to many other years that we have put this plan into place. We are preparing for all of our required drills. The goal here is to make sure that staff and students are prepared, should anything happen, to have as an effective response as they can to whatever we are facing. So a little note about that. Please know that if we should ever face a situation in which we know we are going into some type of emergency response, we convene something that is called an OSET. That is our on-site response team. We have had their training. We have reviewed the emergency plan. Individuals know what is expected of them now for OSET response. For the rest of students and staff, we will now be going through our required drills so that you are prepared. Everyone is prepared to know what to do. We have had our first drill of the year. So we had our first fire drill. It went well. This week on the 23rd. Yes, this Friday, we will have our required combination shelter lockdown drill. So that will happen this Friday, and information is being shared about that. Just want you all to know that is a big one for us. And so we will take care of that drill this week. Here are all of the drills that we will complete. That last bullet point, we will do all of these. Just to note, there are 5 fire drills. Everything else is 1 drill. Okay, thank you. Question about entering the main building. So question number 1 in the chat is about entering the main building from the portable trailers. The door is locked. Yes, that is a requirement. So if anyone has ever gone out to the 3 portables in the back of the building, those doors to the back of the building do remain locked at all time and are required to be locked. Students, for staff, there is a key reader, the electronic reader. So for everyone on Zoom, I'm showing my electronic reader. Okay. There is a sensor for staff. So oftentimes students get let in when a staff member is going in and they can authorize those are our students. Other than that, teachers have something the kids can carry. in order to get them in and out if they have to go from the portables into the building, and then they're expected to return it, just like they would return a pass. So other than that, if students are out there and they have not necessarily worked with an adult to set up their reentry, they might stand at a locked door. So my recommendation is always think through that before you just go out. And they can always walk around the building to the front door and actually press the buzzer to be let in if they're just in a situation and no one's coming to that door. It must remain locked. And safety guarantee for PRTs. May I ask for the question, is PRT portable, right? Thanks. Portable trailers. So the portable trailers, so different things happen to them under different circumstances. So I'll use an example. If you are in lockdown, you will lock down just like everyone else. Another thing that we, teach when it comes to situational awareness is if something is an emergency that's causing a lockdown at the front of the school, and they are the furthest away from that, situational awareness would be leave the campus and run away, right? So we work on those kind of decisions to make. So in a lockdown, you would lock down just like everyone else, and they do lock down. The thing about portables that I would want everyone to know that you pay attention to is if there's ever a situation in the community in which you're bringing groups in. So if there was a hazmat spill on 270, which isn't too far from us, and the wind is blowing that direction, right? All things that when you're working with emergency responders, they pay attention to this. If it's blowing that way, you're going to bring everyone in. That is called the reverse evacuation. That includes your portables. Those systems would be shut down. They would be brought inside the school with the rest of us, and then we would take down like air circulation in the building. So we have a system for having portables respond, and then it's different based on their circumstances. A little note about after school. The one thing I definitely want to impart to everybody here, if your child doesn't have an after school club or an activity that they are involved in, if they're kind of poo-pooing that, push on that idea. There are so many clubs. Today, our composting club was presenting to ILT about their ideas to take this amount of compostable food out of our building to become compost. You will find your group here. You will find your activity to be involved in. Please have your kids be involved here at the school. Turning into young adults, they have contributions to make, and they're going to make people that likely could be their friends for life. So we want them involved in after school. Just a couple of notes. When you can access the media center, if you need to stay after school, our activity buses are now running. They will take students home between 4:15 and 4:20, 4:25 each day. We also have the homework club after school, and individuals will help connect your child to specific content homework support. We have groups that tutor and work with other students here at the school. So please know these opportunities are available for students to stay after school, continue to get a little work done. You don't always have to go home if you can make some more progress or get some support right here at school. So some important items that I just want to share for you all. We are, of course, the Wootton community, but Wootton is also a part of our bigger system. And so there are definitely some items for MCPS that I just want you to know the gears continue to turn, and we expect some information and some important updates this year. I believe my role as principal is to make sure you are as informed as you can be about some of these items. One that is out there is we are expecting this fall the official report from the anti-racist audit. So there was a proposal, an RFP, a request for a proposal for this work to be conducted by the Board of Education. And that work has been carried out over months and months and years at this point. So we have now collected surveys and held town halls, and community members have been talked to, staff have had their input. So we are expecting the report, which then may result in next steps for the system at large. That should be coming in the next few weeks, and we should be getting some information to pass along to you. In the school, we used to be Promethean boards. Promethean boards cost a lot to take care of. So your school is going to be changing over to box lights, right? So these are more movable. It's a newer technology, hopefully not as many wires as we had before. So the box lights, which we have here in the media center, these are going to be rolling out to schools over the next couple of years so that all of that technology is replaced, and we're going to be getting new, TV, more like TV technology for all of the presentations done to kids. An important one, bullet point number 3 for this community in particular. Initial dates have been proposed and will hopefully be confirmed very soon so that I can tell you when they will be. A presentation to the Wooten community specifically, along with 5 other schools, so 6 in total, will receive specific community meetings about the new board policy for renaming schools. This policy, this meeting will simply be about sharing information to this community about that policy. So to say something very clear, I am not saying there is a rename for Wooten, but Wooten has been identified to receive these 2 community meetings to talk about this policy. And the policy does outline what steps can be taken if there is a request to look into a name change. It will explain the steps about how this is done. So I would encourage you all, if that is something that is interesting to you, pay attention for those dates. They will be Zoom webinars, which means many people can attend. It really is about imparting this information. So please be on the lookout for those dates, as it will go over some important information specifically for our community, okay? We have submitted a date for when we hope to hold our gun prevention assembly. So information was communicated by MCPS that the state's attorney's office would like to work with all high schools to present an assembly style presentation about gun safety and prevention. And so we will identify a date. Some schools have already had their date approved and that assembly has taken place. We are waiting to have ours confirmed. If and when that happens, not if, when that happens, we will share the date. Parents do have an opt-out if you would like to explore that and not have your child attend. Other than that, the expectation is all high school students would have that information shared with them through the assembly. Cool. I'll grab that last bullet point and then we'll do that. There has been, of course, some information about football games, particularly last Friday. There, of course, was some headlines about what happened at the Northwest and Gaithersburg game. What I want you to know is that we are planning to make sure that we are out front of anything that we would need to respond to. I want you to know our games have been wonderful and a very positive experience to go to the football games at the start of the school year. I've thoroughly enjoyed them. Regardless, we approach planning for those large-scale events the same way. On the Wednesday before each football game, there will be a pre-safety meeting between both schools that includes all of our teams, security administrators and athletic staff, to make sure that our full plan is put into place. So tomorrow I'll be meeting with Mr. Taylor at Churchill. That's our game on Friday. We'll be putting our plan into place. And I just want you all to know from the school side of things, we are meeting to make sure our plans are in place. I believe being planful helps prevent a lot. I'm not saying that it's ever going to be perfect or that things won't happen. They will. We're bringing lots of people together. But I want you to know that we are meeting to make sure that we're doing as much as we can to make sure these are as pleasant an experience as they can. And that Wooten wins as many football games as we can this year. Okay. So a note about this question. So the question is about staying after school if you have an athletic practice that begins not right at the end of the school day, so let's say an hour after the school day has concluded, right? Are students allowed to stay in the building? The rule of thumb here in general is this. As caregivers and parents, I would advise you always to know what your child's plan is. If the answer is, oh yeah, we just hang, that's really not enough, right? And if we need to help you with that, reach out to us. We have individuals in athletics, and as a part of after school activities, we'll help you come up with what will be a plan for your child. Don't just trust that. The next thing I would say about it, students can't ever really be in an MCPS building without being explicitly connected to some adult. So they have to be with an adult. If someone you know they are going to be with from 2:30 until 3:30, when their practice starts, they're staying with homework club or they're in the media center with Ms. Burke, we're good to go. If they're just chilling on campus, that's not going to work. So we need to come up with some plan. They either need to go, come back, they may go with a friend, they may be driven back, whatever that is. They do have to be with someone who is responsible for them after the school day has concluded. And then there, of course, part of this is it gets challenging to drop students off when you're working the 4 p.m. and the 4:30 practice time. It is challenging. We do recognize that. There is, so Ms. Burke's position is the one that I would mention that was on the slide a few ago about the media center being open. Part of the stipend behind that position is to give students a place to go because of this challenge, which is it's hard to deal with that 1 hour when I am still at work and yet my student's staying for practice. Understood. They can come here, right? The additional challenge here is that students might not want to go, and this is where we're going to need your support, right? If they want to stay after school and they don't want to go home or find an alternative plan, that does mean you're going to have to do what we ask you to do, right? If this is what we have set up, where there's no way we're ever going to create 10 or 15 different things for you all, we're not staffed with like that. So we have one place for students to go. It is the media center. It's not every day, but it is a number of days where you can come here and an adult will supervise you, and then you could head right out and go to practice. So I hope that's some support that helps some families that face this. Couple of notes on the schedule and just things to remember for this year. So October 4th is one I really want to start with, particularly if this is your first child at Wooten. This is a high school thing. In high school, there's called the 25th day. And after the 25th day, if a student does not make a class change, this will mark their transcript with a grade, even if they drop that course later on. So if on October 20th, you now want to change from your AP Bio course to Honors Bio, whatever your score is in AP Bio, it will mark your transcript, and no one would drop AP Bio to go to Honors. So bad example, but it makes the point go, right? Please make sure that if that's being considered or that's being discussed, it's time to consult with your counselor, because that's not always an easy course to drop, right? A course drop is sometimes an option and is sometimes not an option. If courses are all filled to the course that you want to go to with that drop, we cannot go over county cap. We cannot overload a class trying to beat October 4th. So I'm going to say if that is something, spread the word. That's an important date to take note of, because we cannot change October 4th. That is a county requirement, that date. So Ms. Markiewicz, anything on that note?
The child wants to take a class, credit, no credit, for a non-graduation required course. So for example, AP Bio, and your child just wants to get experience in that class, they can choose, and with your approval, to take the class credit, no credit. So if they get a D or higher, they earn credit in the course. And if they earn an E, then no credit. And it appears on the transcript as credit or no credit. And that form is also, you know, due or needs to be turned in by the 25th day.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Everybody on Zoom, could you hear Ms. Markiewicz's last comment?
Not quite clearly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good microphone.
Excellent. Okay. Sounds great. Thank you for checking, Nikki. So of course, election day, we have that closure. Please know for families, that's also a professional day, no school for students before that, right? So take note of that. You might get some little trip in there. So we have that coming up. There's some early release days there, back again going into the Thanksgiving holiday. Monday and Tuesday are early release. Wednesday before Thanksgiving, school's closed. Here's winter break. Little note on spring break, we also have a professional day, just luck of the draw, that happens going right into the weekend before then the next week being spring break, then that weekend again, and then that Monday off. So it's a very long spring break. Like you have a good chunk of time in there. So please take note of that. We do know the date for senior prom. So for for upperclassmen, please take note, May 20th. We're at the Pooks Hill Bethesda Marriott is the location. More information will be coming out, but hold that date if you believe your child is going to go to prom. And the graduation lottery, which is the process by which MCPS puts the schools in order, has taken place. We have not received any additional information more than that, right? So I would believe in the next 3 to 4 months, we should have a sense about when graduation will take place. Once I know it and we're able to share that information, I will share it with families as soon as we are given the green light to put that date out. Okay, but the gears started to turn on that. Brian?
So last year, there was a survey that went out to choose between having it here at the stadium or DAR. Do you think that's going to be the case again?
I have noticed schools doing that, but there has not necessarily been a directive to do that, right? So I'd be very interested from this group whether we think that that is something that would be of interest of the Wooten community to survey and just see where we land with graduation.
So my son graduated 2 years ago. It was in the stadium. It was great, but that's because that was the only option we had to be outside. Last year, the choice was made, and senior parents opted for the
Right.
So having options is good.
For the Zoom question that came up, the question was about whether we will survey for graduation. The answer currently is schools have not been told we have to, which we were last year. We were told, we were directed to put the survey out. We have not been told we have to do that yet, but I've seen some schools are surveying anyway. So it seems like we have an option, so we'll explore that and look into it. All right, so there's my content. I'm going to turn it over to Ariel Markiewicz, and then we'll, I'm sure, have some questions right at the end. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. You did a great job representing the whole admin team. Good evening, everyone. It's so good to see you and some familiar faces. It's nice to see you all. I know it's been a long night, so I'm going to go through my slides as quickly and as informative as I can for you. And I like that I can see this chat. This is really cool. All right, so the counselor breakdown for those of you that might have 9th grade students is different than middle school. We don't have a counselor per grade level, but instead we are with students based off of the first letter of their last name, and it varies by each grade level. So you can see here, we work with students from 9th through 12th grade. And this information is on the Wooten website under the counseling department. So you can see it there. And if you ever have questions, you know who I am now. So you're welcome to email me and I'm happy to assist you. Along with the 7 other counselors and myself, we have a wonderful counseling secretary, Ms. Thakur. We have a dual enrollment program assistant, or DEPA, Ms. Suki Yong. We have a phenomenal college career information coordinator, Kathleen Carr. We have our registrar, and most recently added to our group is our social worker, Alexis Branham. we have our school psychologist, Dr. Baldwin, and we have our PPW, Brenda McKenna. So there are a lot of supports from our big counseling department, and we are here for all of your children. We have about 275 kids on each of the 7 counselors' caseload. I have less. I have about 140 students on my caseload as the head of the department. So we work with all of our kids year round to support whatever their needs might be, whether it's social emotional needs, academic needs, behavioral supports, you name it, we're there for our kids. The best time that they can see us is either before school, during advisory, during lunch, or after school. They can also email us to make an appointment throughout their school day. Oftentimes, we'll send passes for them in the middle of class so they can come talk to us. Most recently, I just was working with a student that was, she was upset, she was crying, and she said instead of going to the bathroom to cry by herself, she came to the office to talk with me through how she was feeling. And so we want students to have a safe space to be who they are and to have a spot that they can communicate, express how they're feeling so we can support them so that they can feel better and continue on with their day. And so if that, in my mind, is more of a crisis, kids are allowed to come at any time to visit with us so we can support them, get them back on track. Upon arrival to the counseling office this year, we are trying our very best to have students sign in so we can document who's coming in, how frequently, when they're, or why they're coming in. And most importantly, it triggers an email to the teacher. So the teacher knows that child has made it to the counseling office to be seen. We do meet with all grade levels throughout the school year multiple times. And most recently, we met with our 12th graders. That was really fun to see them. And then next month, we get to meet one-on-one with all of our 9th graders through science classes. So we can't wait to get to know our 9th graders, kind of share the information I'm sharing with you tonight with them so they know how to see us, when to see us, because it is so different than in middle school. If your child needs academic support, don't hesitate to communicate with the teachers. I think for mostly our incoming 9th grade parents, a lot of times they might think or say to me, oh, my child's in high school now, you know, I don't need to connect with the teachers. They're big kids now, they can do it all on their own. But I'm always like, wait, don't let go quite yet. You're welcome to stay connected to those teachers, communicate, help your child learn those self-advocacy skills, but still stay connected. They do need that support because it is a big transition to high school. Now, as they get to junior and senior year, it does make sense for you, to back off a bit more if that is best for your child. But ultimately, you guys are the parents, you know your children and what they need. I'm working on finalizing an academic supports list. So we have so many supports already offered and built into Wooten High School. So I've created a list that shows when the National Math Honor Society meets. So if your child wants some tutoring from other students in Wooten High School, they can attend the sessions during lunch. And I have all that listed in this link. Also the Spanish National Honor Society. I also have the homework club that Mr. Nelson shared information about, as well as the media center. So it's all in one location. It's kind of the supports that we have currently going on at Wooten. I also plugged in the graduation requirements. Those are ever changing in the county and can be a bit confusing. One of the jobs of counselors is to ensure each child takes the required graduation requirements in order to graduate from Wooten High School. We meet with your children to go over those course selections during the school year. So we do monitor that because it does vary based off of their graduation year. But a lot of parents do ask those questions and they're great questions. So I did link that here. As Mr. Nelson said, there is the Club Expo offered on Thursday at lunch, especially our 9th graders or new students or anybody who wants to try a new activity. We really love this event. I always love walking around and seeing the amazing things these kids are doing. It is incredible. You will find a place where you feel comfortable meeting new people that like the things you like. So really let your children know to come and explore and sign up for some clubs and try new things. I've also linked the activity bus schedule that Mr. Nelson shared with you earlier. And then we have our wonderful Planning for the Future weekend. Of course, it kicks off with the wonderful college fair brought to you guys by you all. So we're really, really excited for that event. And then following that, for our seniors, it's time to really focus on their college applications. There's no homework for them that weekend. And we have some wonderful critiquing the college essays events going on Friday after school. It is a half day. We also have some webinars on Saturday for filling out the FAFSA and financial aid information that we encourage you to attend, and some critiquing the college essays virtually on that Saturday. So again, if you click on the link to the events, you'll see the page that has all the information on the college fair to the virtual events on that Saturday. Yeah. It should be on the Wooten website.
Counseling department.
Actually on the homepage of Wooten. So under like right when you open the Wooten page, it should be right there. Oh, the slides. Yeah. Brian, do you want to share? Yeah. Brian said he will share the slides with all of you. Are there any other questions? Yeah.
Is there a way to pull up the official transcript for our students?
There isn't on your end, like the unofficial. You can see all the course history in student view or parent view, but not as a transcript. If you need that, you can just ask the counselor to send it to you, or a registrar or administrators. Yeah. I actually just emailed all of the 12th grade parents. The county is running a new batch of senior transcripts on October 11th. So the county provides us those e-transcripts that we can share out. Good question. Are there any other questions from Zoom land? All right, awesome. Well, we're excited to work with all your children. Oh, I forgot this slide. Oh my goodness. It's a good one. I apologize. Okay. So we are very excited. So every high school in the county has a new program from the Department of Health and Human Services, and ours is called Bridge to Wellness from Shepherd Pratt. So we actually have a wellness center here at Wooten that is brand new. The construction was done this summer, and we have 3 individuals that are a part of this program. Miss Katie Omerso is our therapist, Miss Stephanie Arce is our care manager, and Mr. Alejandro Marroquin is our youth development specialist. Those 3 individuals are here full-time, just like an MCPS employee. However, they're not MCPS employees, but they're here to support all of our students. So right now we're in the works of figuring out exact process of how to refer students to these individuals and what that will look like. Right now, we're using our social worker, Alexis Branham, as kind of our bridge between the 2 programs of MCPS and the Bridge to Wellness, as well as our student well-being team meetings that we hold every other Wednesday, where we talk about needs for students and making sure that we're supporting all of our kids in every possible way. So we will start referring students to receive therapy. Katie will be doing long-term therapy, so it's not crisis intervention therapy like we would normally help students with. She's more long-term, so like 3 months to 6 months working with students. She will have a case load that, is limited. So when she's full, she will have to stop seeing students. But we're very excited to have such important and imperative mental health supports in our building. And we heard that in one of the surveys that we gave out to students last year, that kids are feeling stressed and overwhelmed, and we know that. We also found that they have trusted adults that they have in this building. So that was a really exciting news. And then we saw the work that needs to continue. And that is countywide, actually. And so that's why Dr. McKnight really wants us all to have this opportunity in every high school building. So we're really excited to see where this takes us, but just know that we're working through kind of the kinks of how to get things going. And once we do, we'll definitely share more information out with you all and your children. So you're hearing it before your kids about this program. Lastly, we have some MCPS supports that maybe some of you might know, but you're welcome to always reach out to these individuals.
Miss Alexis Branham is new to us as of the end of March of last school year. We are super excited to have her as our social worker here. She's supporting students, providing resources for parents. You're welcome to contact her if you have any questions. Dr. Yvette Baldwin is our school psychologist. She too works with families and students and does a lot of testing for special education services. And lastly, Brenda McKenna is our pupil personnel worker, or PPW, and she too provides a lot of supports and resources for our students and our families. So we're all one big team here at Wooten. And again, we just think mental health is so important for your children to be successful and feel good and happy and healthy, and therefore, enjoy their high school journeys. Any other questions? I know that was my last slide. There's some probably questions for you, Mr. Nelson.
All right, let's see about some of these questions. Question is about Wooten being scheduled for capital improvements. So, Brian, I don't know if there's anything you want to say to that. I know you often speak to it. I believe we are on the schedule. 2028, right? What date do we have? 2029. So we are on a schedule, but it is not soon.
Give you a quick update. So I met with the Montgomery County Public Schools Planning Office along with our cluster coordinators. And we did again reiterate how much we need our renovation, our capital improvement project. And we'll continue to advocate for that. But what we learned was last year, the Board of Education pushed us back 1 year. It was supposed to be 2026, got pushed back to 27. And then Montgomery County Council decided to push us back 2 more years. So we lost 3 years last year. And so what we're going to do, I'll just talk about what we're going to do. So it's called the Capital Improvement Program, the CIP. That's the budget that deals with the facilities in Montgomery County, Maryland. And in Montgomery County, it's, of course, it's all parts of the county government deals with the CIP. So for MCPS, there's hearings before the Board of Education first, and then it goes to the Montgomery County Council. So in November, early November, we don't have the dates yet, is the Board of Education hearing. At the hearing, they take testimony. So that's where all the schools people can testify. What I'm working on is getting students to testify. I've done that in the past. It's been very effective. Obviously, hasn't made that much difference, but it really is effective and it does impact the board members. So I'm working with SGA, I'm working with other students. Certainly want to working with our cluster schools. Love to get parent testimony. We need to get folks out to the hearing room so that they see the impact to the community, that it's not just a few people, that we really want to see this capital improvement project. So that's sort of the first step of what we can do. And then the second part of what we can do is go beginning of January is the county council hearing on the CIP. They do public hearings as well. Keep in mind that the Montgomery County government holds the purse strings. So it's really important that we talk to the Board of Education and that they're making the recommendation to Montgomery County. But then it's important for us to go advocate for Montgomery County because we lost 2 years last year just from Montgomery County. So we'll need to do the same thing. We'll look for student testimony and get people out to the hearing room. One piece of slightly good news, I would say, is because of the advocacy that we've been doing and our students have done, our parents have done, we did get Montgomery County Public Schools to get appropriated by the county government, $15 million for some exterior work to address some of the ADA issues that we've brought up with our grounds and our connection to the city of Rockville property and so forth. So we don't yet know what that's going to entail, but we do know that they're going to be doing some sort of assessment soon. They say soon. They didn't give us a time, and I don't think Mr. Nelson has heard anything yet. But soon they're going to be doing some sort of assessment and determine what they're going to be doing with that $15 million. $50 million apparently does not go very far when we're talking about the kind of work that would be done on the exterior part of the property. So sounds like a lot of money. It really isn't when it comes to capital improvement programs. Just to let you know, like a new school building is something like, I think it's about $140 million. So also Montgomery County Public Schools changed the policy. Back in 2019, we were supposed to get our original renovation. And right before that, they changed the policy to get rid of the tear downs. Because they used to tear them down and just build them back up. And they got rid of the policy. So now they got parts of the building and it's only going to be kind of piecemeal. So we really need the advocacy from everybody. I see I have a question.
Or has any school ever succeeded in getting pieces of the renovation earlier? The part that, my understanding is that with the renovation, you get new furnishings and that there's all sorts of money for little things that come along with it.
That's right.
And I know the musical instruments in the band department, for example, are a real problem because they're 50-something years old. And there's not the money to repair them. It seems to me that that's a relatively small amount of money. And that if we could get something like that sooner rather than later, we're giving pieces of our capital improvement that are small but would make a big difference.
So, Mr. Neal's going to talk a little bit more about that, but I can tell you that they don't piecemeal it. Then they keep pushing off. Like there are things that we need in the building. Things break, and what they'll say is you have a capital improvement project that's on the books, so we're not going to fix that. We're not going to replace the lighting in the auditorium, or we're not going to do X, Y, and Z because you have a capital project. Yet the capital project never seems to make it here because we've been pushed back since 2019. So they don't piecemeal it. Although they did it with the $15 million, which was a real surprise to me that we actually got that. So, but Mr. Nels maybe can talk about the equipment. I mean, I think we probably have to do some fundraisers and we did. We partnered with Patron of the Arts last year, PTSA, just to buy one tuba. It was like $8,000, I believe. So,
Yeah, it's been really good. So I wanted to repair the theater, but then you were going to be doing big renovations to the theater. Well, maybe, you would be redoing something or repeating work, but something as simple as buying instruments, there's no repeating of that. That's just changing the life cycle.
yeah,
Right.
they build a big budget into the renovation and includes, like you said, everything.
And yeah, when I've seen the new schools, I
Yeah.
don't necessarily see that you receive, for example, let's look at the media center around us. Some of our books are old here. It's not as if the new school gets you an entire new set of books in your library media center. So some things do get changed out, but some do not. Some of like your equipment, volleyball nets, things like they'll go from an old building into a new building. The things that I notice really come with the new buildings that kind of demonstrate difference in facilities is when you look at a computer lab here compared to what you will see in new buildings, right? They don't even look remotely similar to each other in how the classroom space is designed. And so that is some of the new equipment that comes with new buildings. I don't know if new high schools necessarily get all new instruments.
They get a chunk of money for it.
Mhm. And I promise that will come with a lot of rules that will make it very clear what you can and you cannot. I don't know if schools get to do that. Mhm.
Have a well-documented lifespan.
Mhm.
So instruments worldwide, how long these instruments last, and that they were never intended to be.
That old.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep, right.
And right now, they're paying for some repairs and stuff, but there's also things that they can't do because they simply don't have the instruments.
So the other part of the question was about Crown High School. So the Crown High School, the capital project is in the plans. The feasibility study, I believe, was completed and they're moving to the next phase. They did push back that project, I believe, a year, but it's supposed to start, I believe the supposed to be finished in 2027, meaning it's going to start. So it's always a 2-year project. So they always give you the completion date. So it's 2025 is when it'll supposedly break ground. And those students, what they tend to do is students that are already at Wooten most likely would continue 18 months before a project is completed, capital project like a new high school. They'll do a what do you call it? A boundary study to determine which students go. They did say that Crown's going to pull from 5 high schools, including Wooten is one of the 5, but they didn't say how that's going to happen. So we'll know more as it gets closer, 18 months out. They break ground and, so probably into 25, 26 is when we would hear
Is Wooten actually overcrowded?
that capacity, right? It's right.
Mm.
It's about 2,000.
Yeah, I'm new enough that I don't know if it's officially been declared overcrowded.
Yeah.
I will say as someone here, it
It's
did
right
not
on
feel
the
overcrowded.
capacity, but it's,
Right.
there's a lot,
That the problem is that it's old, not that
right?
we need to have fewer students.
Yeah, all the Wooten cluster schools are under capacity. Wooten's right around capacity. There's a lot of building going on and there's a lot expected in the master plans for this area. But right now, back several years ago, I actually worked at Wooten, and back then we were 500 over capacity. So we had this massive increase and it lasted for 2-3 years and then the numbers dropped. But that was the only time that I know that we were over.
So I think we got to questions in the chat. Are there any other questions out there before we get ready to conclude? Or is there any other PTSA business that you will?
There's no.
Okay. So last, pardon?
Oh.
I think everyone had a lot of chance to read through this. We got to a lot of these. Just a reminder, PSAT is coming up. 10th graders, they're all in. 11th graders, you can choose to take again. All you have to do is pay that $19 fee. Seniors have events that day too. Class of 2023, don't think you're off the hooks. There's lots going on for them. They actually want to be here. Any school trips planned for students? There are some school trips that have been planned and happening. I'm sorry, I'm not sure I could do these off the top of my head. But there, of course, is a field trip approval process, and some have definitely crossed my desk, whether it's some trips for band or things that are taking place where students are going different locations. One that does jump out to me is a new experience. We did hear that Magruder is hosting a female Latinx empowerment conference. And so our students from our Hispanic Student Union are going to be going over to that event. So that's a new one. So the answer is yes, some school trips are planned and happening, but I'm not anything like large grade scale events or anything along those lines. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Further questions or comments, feel free to email me. You can find my information on the PTSA website. We look forward to seeing you at the October meeting. I believe it's October 18th. And we'll be having our mental health forum. And I hope to see you all at the college fair next week, the next Thursday from 5 to 7. So thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you.